Central Empire Wrestling presents Bridge City Slam 6 live Saturday, September 7th at the Bridgeview Center in Ottumwa. Come see Jake the Snake Roberts, Buff Bagwell, former WWE Tag Team Champions Demolition, Real One Enzo Amore, The Powers of Pain, The Boogeyman, Snitsky, Jordan Grace, Cameron Brunet, and the stars of CEW. Tickets start at just $20 and include the Fan Fest from 4 to 7 p.m. Get your tickets through Ticketmaster or at the Bridgeview Center in Ottumwa. It's Bridge City Slam 6, live Saturday, September 7th at the Bridgeview Center in Ottumwa.
At 6 o'clock, let's open up our regular council meeting today, Wednesday, August 7th, 2024. Can I have roll call, please?
That's here. Schultz.
Present.
Clark.
Here.
Conrad.
Present.
McLaughlin. Present. Ostraker.
Here.
The consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda, no, I'm sorry. Approval or amendment to tentative agenda. Before we do that, we need to remove item 5-1 from the agenda. So can I have approval or amendment to the tentative agenda?
I'd make a motion to approve the tentative agenda removing 5-1.
Second.
That's
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Conrad.
Yes.
McLaughlin.
Yes.
Ostraker.
Yes.
Thank you.
Consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a request is made prior to voting. Item A, approval of minutes of regular meeting. Adam and Randy were not present. And item B, account payable claims updated.
Yes, one of the design house, the wrong amount was on the one that you received. So that amount went up to, what did that go up to? $565. It was, I think, 45, and it went up to 565. That was the 4th of July ad, and then the folding of our water bills, monthly water bills.
Will you be separate, please?
Okay.
You wanted what, separate? Item B?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, can I have a motion to approve under the consent agenda items C through H?
I'd make that motion.
Second.
That's Schultz,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Conrad,
Yes.
McLaughlin.
Yes.
Ostraker.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, and then approval of the minutes of the regular council meeting, July 17th. Motion to approve that.
I move that we approve the minutes of the regular council meeting from July 17th.
Second. That's
Yes.
Schultz,
Abstain.
Clark,
Abstain.
Conrad,
Yes.
McLaughlin.
Yes.
Ostraker.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, now item B, approval of council accounts payable claims.
Atwood Electric on it.
Pardon me?
Atwood Electric is on it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I make a motion to approve consent agenda item B.
I'd second.
Lentz,
Abstain.
Schultz,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Conrad,
Yes.
McLaughlin.
Yes.
Ostraker.
Yes.
Thank you.
Public hearings, I'm showing none. Additional city business, discussion and possible approval of renewal of the city's property liability, workers' compensation, and boiler insurance policies, and approval of related annual premiums. Paul Horak, can you address this for us?
Sure. I brought copies of the summary like we do every year. It's not a good year for insurance agents talking to public entities.
Probably a lot worse for the people on the East Coast.
Yeah.
I mean, the Midwest is bad too. It's, I've been in the business 34 years, and I've never seen anything like this, so.
So what you have there is, every year I kind of make a table that's kind of a comparison that goes this year against the last several years. On that table that you have there, and that you're already aware, I think, that last meeting that ICAP had a very serious increase, and it's not just the city of Sigourney, it's everybody. And I mean, it was right around 40% is what the increase is, and I've seen them anywhere from 32 to 41%. Part of what affected the city of Sigourney so much is, for some reason, the property rate for the city was very low. And the reinsurance company for ICAP made a mandatory requirement of ICAP that they need to charge a certain rate for all property, a minimum rate for all property in the state of Iowa. Well, the city of Sigourney's rate was below that. It had to come up to that, and then whatever other rating factors go on top of that. So I think that was an exaggerating factor on there. Really, there's not much of a change in coverage from last year, other than where you see the blanket and schedule on the property, where it says blanket and schedule. That's all of the buildings and all of the contents in the city. Last year it was around a little over 14 million. This year it's 15.6 million and some change. You'll also notice down on the inland marine, which is all of the city's equipment, mowers, anything that's worth over $10,000 gets scheduled on that. That is a little bit higher than what last year's was. Going down to the bottom, the only other I wanted to point out, you'll see on here it says law enforcement liability. Well, I know the city does not currently have a law enforcement program, but there is coverage there for the minimal exposure that the city has contracting to the county, which is the standard minimum amount that ICAP charges for those types of arrangements around the state. The next, the work comp did go down a little bit. I did highlight that down at the bottom, but so that's a picture of where we are on the coverage. Any questions on that so far? The other part of what I wanted to talk about tonight is I had them do some higher deductible quotes to try and save some money. And that's the next part of what I wanted to go over, but I didn't want to get into that unless there was a question.
So what regulating agency forced the normalization of the rates?
What regulate?
You said the property rate was low.
Oh.
It had to be brought up. Who forced
Okay.
it?
So ICAP is really not an insurance company. ICAP is a self-insurance pool for public entities in Iowa. So there really is no owners. The owners are the public entities. So really the city of Sigourney, city of Washington, Keokuk County, everybody that's covered by ICAP is the owner. Well, ICAP has what's called reinsurance with a reinsurance company, I think they're out of Michigan, that covers in case ICAP has horrific losses or big derechos move through or whatever. They come in and clean up just to protect the members, because if ICAP does not have that much money, they would have to assess the owners if there was a really bad loss. So that's what reinsurance is. Well, when reinsurance is covering the biggies like that, they also have the ability to come in and say, hey, you know, we're only gonna do this if you charge this a certain rate. And that's kind of what happened here. So it's not really a regulating authority, it's the reinsurance program that,
Okay.
it's basically insurance for insurance. And they're kind of the granddaddy, you know, behind it for the protection for big losses.
Thank you.
And really, all insurance companies have reinsurance. But technically, ICAP is not an insurance company, it's a self-insurance pool.
Has it been a usually bad year for claims?
Yeah.
It has.
Not only a bad year, but a bad many years, and we're gonna get into that. And it's not just the city of Sigourney. I mean, I'm having this same conversation with everybody with basically the same types of numbers. So if you go to that next page there that kind of has our Four-Rock Insurance logo on the top. I wanted to point out, and again, the contribution and claim history you'll see at the top. So over the last 5 years, the total amount the city has paid into ICAP is around $207,000. In the last 5 years, ICAP has paid out $238,000. You don't have to be an actuary to know that that's not a sustainable financial situation. And I can't think of any entities where I've talked to where that number is different than, I mean, we've had some where they paid in $800,000 and they paid out $1.2 million in claims. It's just, and this is all across the state, so it's a real problem, and in order for ICAP to maintain financial stability, I mean, they've got to do something with rates. And it's not only ICAP, it's EMC, it's all of the, well, there's really not that many that insure public entities anymore in Iowa. So that's really the picture. They're paying more out in claims than they're taking in, something has to happen. And that's a good reason.
Just, again, just around that education, is it either being overrun by inflation?
Well, it's, yes, I mean, building costs have gone up significantly.
Dramatically, yeah.
The cost to repair vehicles has gone up substantially. 20 years ago, when we had a deer hit, $3,000 would usually fix it. Now, they're totaling them for, it doesn't even look like it's a, damage, because you've got sensors in the cars now and all these electronic devices and everything. And cars and vehicles are really expensive to fix. A deer hit now is $15,000 minimum, it seems like. So that's on the auto side. On the liability side, especially on the law enforcement side, there's been enormous, settlements. Public officials, discrimination cases, all those on the liability side. So and also on the liability side with auto. I mean, distracted driving these days anymore is causing so many more accidents. It's not just phones, but everybody's got all these gizmos in their cars. It's causing accidents. So it's across the board that it's caused.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I do have in that the 3 pages that I gave you. So the next page is kind of a summary, basically the summary page of the loss runs for the county, because it's about 15 pages long, which I'll leave here with Angie. But you can see where the 200, that circled number down there is the $238,000 that's been paid out. The city has had 7 different property claims in the last 5 years. But 6 of those claims were under $5,000. So, but again, this loss run isn't just property claims. It has liability, auto, all of those on there. So in getting a quote, we could save, if we raise the property deductible, and that's on that 3rd page, if we raise the property, right now the property deductible is $500. If we raised it to $2,500, it would save around $2,697 a year. If we raised it to $10,000, it would save about $5,394 a year. So the big question is it worth doing that? And really, there's no crystal ball. I mean, if the city knew that it wouldn't have very many claims in the coming few years, yeah, it'd be a good deal. But nobody can tell that. So what I did is all you can do is look at history. And that's where I have this on that front page there. If the city moved the property deductible to $2,500, and this is, if you look at the last 5 years, the savings and contributions would have been around $13,485. And it would have resulted in approximately $11,500 more in the city's cost for property damage repair because of the higher deductible. So if everything were the same for the next 5 years, it probably would, the city would be about $2,000 better off by raising the deductible to $2,500. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so that's based on historic claims.
Historic claims. And it's really all, it's all you can do. I mean, and history doesn't repeat itself. I mean, there's no scientific method of doing it other than looking at the past. But if the past repeated itself, the city would save around $2,000 in the next 5 years. If the city moved it to that says 5,000, that should be 10,000. There's a typo there. So if we move the property deductible to 10,000, the savings would be $26,000 over the next 5 years, $26,970. But repeating of the claims, you'd be out around $29,000 in extra damage repair. So if history repeated itself, probably wouldn't be a good idea to move it to 10,000. And that's the muddy water that I have to present. The other ones that I've done, it's been pretty clear that moving to a higher deductible would not be a good idea, but a $2,500 deductible might make some sense for the city.
But in the grand scheme of things, it's not that much money.
Yeah,
It really doesn't make that, if you look at the overall budget.
it could be significant if the city had fewer claims. And who was it that I was just going? Somebody I was just talking to only had 2 claims in the last 5 years. It was the city of Washington. They only had 2 property claims in the last 5 years. So probably going to make sense for them to bump the deductible significantly.
So these are all the claims that we had, the hail damage.
Yeah, and it's more in more detail on the report sheet. I just didn't want to print off 15 pages for 10 copies. And I can email it to you too. But yeah, that has that's all the auto, liability. Doesn't include workers' compensation. We're not talking about work comp at all here. We're just talking about auto, liability, property, equipment.
Well, another thing to consider is, as time goes on, repairs are going astronomically higher. And so you're talking about saving a couple $1,000s, but yet the repairs might work that.
Yeah, I mean, and your protection on that is the deductible. I mean, as they go higher and higher, they're going to be covered by the insurance. Remember, the city is only exposed to the amount of the deductible. It's $500 now. It would be $2,500 if we moved it up. But there's a lot of those claims on. I don't remember. There's several claims on it that are pretty small.
Yeah.
And there's you can't quantify it, but there's a case to be made that maybe not turning in claims, some of the smaller ones, would be a good thing because it does help in the rating and underwriting.
That was going to be my next question. Is that something that we would want to think about? Is self-repair really turn into claim? I don't know.
And if that becomes a general rule, you really would want to raise the deductible higher because you want to, if you're going to be retaining those things, you want to be able to save the money, and of course we're doing that. $500 is a pretty low deductible for a city. What time did this start? 1,000 is still low. We have a lot going to 2,500. Just looking for guidance.
insurance, and statistics and actuarial tables. So there's no discernible pattern. If you go back 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, there's no pattern.
Well, the pattern is always, and it really comes down to, and you mentioned the codes, what's really causing a lot of this is if you look at dots on a map over the last 8 years or so, $1 billion losses in the United States. 8 or 9 years ago, most of those dots were down in the southeastern part of the United States, hurricanes. A few out west with storms, with fires. In the last 8 years, and you look back, especially in the last 4 or 5 years, those dots are now in the Midwest. $1 billion losses. And there's fewer now in the southeast. This storm pattern has shifted. It's not hurricanes, it's these big hailstorms, windstorms. Everybody likes to blame the derecho, but that was a big one, but you don't hear about when a little town like Greenfield gets wiped out by a tornado. That's significant to the companies, and that's really the thing that is, or one of the major factors that's driving this. But that's not a 30-year thing, that's a 8-year thing.
And on the southwest places, you can't get insurance, you have to self-insure.
Yeah,
So I'm assuming
Florida.
that affects
Yeah.
the net.
But, yeah, I can't say that really the outside of the Midwest is really affecting much other than the reinsurance part, because ICAP only insures Iowa. They're not insuring places in Florida or Texas or California, it's just Iowa.
Right now, we have a $500 deductible. Would it be worth taking a look at a $1,000 deductible? Because you said that was even a little small right now.
Yeah, it is a little small. I don't, I had one, another city, we insured 26 of them, so I get them all mixed up, but there was one where we went from a $750 to a $1,500 deductible, it was gonna save $156 a year. So I don't think going to 1,000 is gonna save very much, I really don't. I mean, I could get those numbers, but I think you'd be, less than impressed by the amount of money that it would save.
I think we ought to just leave it where it's at. Doesn't look like significant savings to me.
I concur.
I would agree with
It's not
that.
change at all. I do think, as well as stay where we're at, we ought to seriously look at trying to file fewer claims and look at alternatives for repair, keeping the money local if at all possible.
And honestly, it's a toss-up. I wish I could come in here and recommend something, but
No.
I just want to let you know that we looked, to try, just to see what it would be, just so we could exhaust anything that might save some money.
No, we look at it every year, right?
Well, this is the first year that ICAP has really been out there offering bigger deductibles, so.
Okay.
Now, there is another thing that they put in all of these policies, and it's a bigger deductible. If it's deemed to be a catastrophic loss, then buildings have a 1% deductible, which is kind of a scary thing, but they're doing that to everybody. So is EMC. And that means that if ISO, this big agency that grades these storms, if they determine, and the derecho would have been a catastrophe, then a 1% deductible applies to all the buildings. That would be significant. It's because if you have a $1 million building, the deductible is $10,000 for wind and hail only. So there could be a circumstance if there was a really, really bad situation that the $500 deductible would be out the door, so would any other deductible option that we did. 1% then would apply to the
I'm sure we'd have more than 1% to worry about.
Yeah, it would be ugly, but it's really tough on schools, because, you have a $15 million school building, that's a $150,000 deductible. Now they're selling, we have policies that we're selling, which I think it's a deductible buyback policy, so you're buying insurance for the deductible. Like we talked about, we had one school district spent $46,000 for a deductible buyback policy.
Sounds like health insurance.
But I want to make sure that there could be a circumstance where not even the 500 or 2,500 or whatever we're looking at applies, and that is if it's deemed a catastrophe by ISO, then the 1% comes into play on the bill.
Any other questions for Paul?
I put my contact information down on the bottom. If anybody has any questions, feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email or whatever. Okay, well, we thank you very much. We appreciate being the agency serving the city, and I hope we're responsive and doing a good job, and I hope we're pretty accessible, so. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Well, on the agenda, we say discussion of possible approval of the renewal.
That was, and it's only on there, you can just say, you know, you don't want to change our deductible, and then you've already paid the bill, we're good to go.
So we don't need to vote on that?
It's up to you, I don't think it matters either way, I'll just put a note in there that a consensus you wanted to leave it alone, wanted to leave it at the $500 deductible. It's up to you guys how you want to do it.
Because we approved this.
Yep.
We were just going to check the options and then determine if we wanted them to give us some money back or whatever.
Correct.
That was on last week's agenda, or last meeting's agenda?
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
just to clarify that.
Yes.
That's why we don't need to vote on any changes.
Thank you. Item number 2, discussion possible approval of substantial completion payment. Angie?
Thank you.
So the change in it is what I was saying, on to the next thing. Substantial completion payment. So, 114 East Washington Street, we're doing a catalyst grant up above. And I think after talking to Adam Platt today, he only has 2 things left to do. And so we've turned in that we feel it's substantially complete. So there's still $69,000 plus some change to be paid out. So my question to you is where he's only got to put in a sink faucet and do the work for the heat, the electrical heat baseboard, to put those down, he's got them ordered. Do we go ahead and just give him everything when we get the money, or do you want to say you can have $60,000 and when it's complete, you can have the rest of it? Which by the time we get the money, it could be completed. So I didn't know if you wanted, that's your decision, if you want to put anything on that, or if you just want to give it all to him and be done.
Do we have any idea, like, the value of the items that haven't been completed?
You don't, but I can find out.
Because if it's like $5,000, we could hold $5,000 back. I'd be happy with giving 64 and then giving them the last 5.
Okay.
Just kind of make sure it gets done, give them a little more incentive.
Right. I thought there was a little more to do outside, but when I spoke to him today, he said, no, it's all done. All I have to do is get this heat baseboard in. And actually, there is heat in there. The air conditioning unit does both, but they wanted to put the electrical in as well, just to be safe. And then there's a faucet in the bathroom missing, and so he's got that ordered as well. And he said, I'll put that in. So, yes, they're pretty much ready to start looking for tenant.
Yeah, I hope it gets done in short order, just so the project can be completed.
Yes.
Be done with it.
Yes, and
I
so,
understand what you're saying.
yeah.
That's pretty much the standard we operate under. But I know it's down to a minimum, I just hope it
Yes.
doesn't take too long to get.
And tomorrow we're having the IEDA meeting here with Jim Thompson and Jim Engel from Des Moines. And they're going to go look at the building, do a final walkthrough since they're going to be in town. So Adam's getting them in there in the morning at 9:30. So, yeah, it'll be nice to have that done.
Did you want to make a
Yeah.
recommendation there?
I'll make a motion that when we receive the last payment, 69,000,
Plus, yeah,
that if there is still a few items left, we retain 5,000 until we get all items complete, and then we release it.
Second.
Lentz,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Conrad,
Yes.
McLaughlin.
Yes.
Boosbaker.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, under additional city business, item number 3, discussion and possible approval of forming a strategic planning committee. Gary, can you fill us in on that?
So as we all know, there are a number of projects that we've talked about over the last many months. That list of projects would include continuing to improve the square, either through facade, an additional facade project, or through other types of projects designed to improve the appearance of the square. We have a need for additional housing. I'll emphasize the word the potential, depending upon interest on the part of the owners, to create as many as 8 new apartments around the square. That would improve our housing situation, at least along one dimension. We've talked many times about what we're going to do about the Jonesy building. We've had a few discussions about what we're going to do about the Memorial Hall over the next 5 years. There is a discussion that's starting, it's just in its infancy around a community center. And other comments have been made about other amenities that could be offered by the city, such as walking trails, dog parks, things of that type. So the question for this group would be, does it make sense to form a committee specifically to look into the future and, considering our financial situation, lay out a 3 to 5 year plan, which is changeable, but at least it's a planning tool that we can use to identify projects, the order in which we might take them, give them priority, search for funding sources, working with IEDA and other bodies. So that's the question.
Would it be an all,
Sorry?
would it be an all council? I mean, would this be formed from the council, or would this include private, big combination?
I confess that at this point, I've really only been thinking about projects that would be driven by the city. Now, that's just my view. With the advent of the community project, maybe there's a discussion to be had for having multiple entities participate. And I think that's a discussion topic.
I'm wondering what direction something like that takes. Are we talking? I mean, if you have multiple entities involved, you know, or potentially you're talking about even a 28 agreement between them to, you know, make something come to pass. That's a pretty broad base of subjects there. I know that some of those pertain to the city, but others may be brought in.
Well, as I mentioned, I've been thinking about it predominantly in the context of what we would do as a body of the city.
If it's a committee, I mean, a city committee, an additional committee.
Yes. There are two items that I didn't mention. Think also about the shop for Don Brensford, and also about the pool. We're gonna have to make some decisions there. We're gonna have to make all of these decisions within the context of our ability to assume debt. In all probability.
So all the committee can do is make recommendations. So the approach would be, what do you call it, strategic planning committee? A place to start talking about these things? I don't know.
I mean, there's lots of areas that it would be beneficial for. I mean, as far as like some of our different grants or whatever, I mean, you want us to have priorities. You want us to show that we have a need for a street. They want us to show that we have a need for housing or water improvements. And they also like to know that we've looked at it and identified what some of those are, so they can see that we have this list of 10, and why are we trying to pick number 10? They like to see that we thought about it and do number 1. I asked about whether it was a city kind of driven and just city driven, because it's going to involve some other entities. If, let's just say the house buildings, the city can't do anything. I don't intend to start building houses. That seems to be for the public, but we can make sure we organize, what the steps are to go through. But I was just trying to think of something broad, because if we started into just the council, then I'm concerned about kind of checks and balances. So let's just say that it was made up of the finance committee. That seems like that's overlapping, and if there's not a lot of involvement of anything else. So I'm just, that'd be my only concern about having just a 3-person, there's going to be any more than that. Separate just city council.
Can I see your point?
Although, I mean, I love the idea, because it's beneficial in any of our anything. If Donnie's trying to figure out what projects to do, I mean, and we have 2 or 3 of them, like you said, if we need funding all of a sudden, all at the same time, how are we going to prioritize? And so if we kind of have an ongoing plan, I'm trying to remember different things we've done in the past. We kind of had, it wasn't like, I don't know if it was called a special meeting. We just kind of had an open.
Like a workshop or
A
something?
workshop, just where we kind of just threw out ideas and discussed things and tried to, identify those areas, not necessarily formally, but just, invite input from other people, from other sources, some business owners might want to come in if we're talking about facades. I don't know who might want to be interested in building houses. Whether that's one person putting up, or 10 people putting up one house each, or, somebody coming in who wants to do. I was just driving through Knoxville and I noticed that like where the VA used to be, all of a sudden there's like 6 little houses where somebody just, kind of developed that. So sorry, that was not concise whether I was pro or con. I think it's a great idea. I just don't know that I would want to implement it with just city or, are they going to meet every week? Are they going to meet every month? Or is it just something we just plan once a year? We do.
All good questions. I don't know the answer to any of them. This workshop concept that you mentioned, have you done this in the past?
It's been several years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I started, what was it, the junction?
Yeah.
I mean, I just remember we
Went
met
over there and
someplace and
we
just,
posted an agenda that we weren't making any decisions. And yeah, we just threw a bunch of stuff at the wall and talked about it.
because then, I mean, we allotted an afternoon.
Anyway,
We allotted, I mean, it wasn't just an hour at a time.
no, it
Or, you
was,
know, planning on like, how long, you know, we started
Right,
at
good
1
half day.
o'clock and it could go until whenever we have supper, we'd be done. But then we have more time just to, not necessarily following an agenda, but, you know, trying to come up with what's important, you know.
That's an interesting idea.
Yeah, I think you could probably accomplish more in a setting such as that. The restriction of, you know, the built-in restriction with the committee, like Ed was mentioning, you know, 3, that's it. Who said, I don't know that you get more than 3 volunteers, but nevertheless, I,
If we
you know.
get paid
it-
$40 for that special meeting, it just makes it all worthwhile.
What's that?
If we get paid $40 for that extra special meeting, it just
Oh.
makes it all worthwhile.
Now, does that come with a meal or not?
Good. We can even work it in on a Wednesday, and we can just do a regular council meeting afterwards, we wouldn't even get an
I'm
extra,
kidding, I'm kidding.
just a free meal.
Show up for a free meal. It's like, maybe there's hearing aids or something. What? No. I know you're pushing you know, it's a new concept. And so maybe, for the purposes of discussion, it might be good to think about. I mean, to think of it as committee is one thing. There are different things such as a workshop.
Well, is this something we should table until the next meeting? Give everybody a chance to think about it?
I think it should be a continuing discussion. Yes.
So we can put our finger on what
Yes.
makes the most sense. Well, if it stands the best chance of accomplishing something, that's probably a valid statement.
I think in the pattern before.
For continuing
the funds
discussion.
became-
Continue.
Until we figure out what works the best.
I'd say so. I'm gonna see if I can find it. I'll send it out to everybody.
So in other words, leave it on the agenda for one or more meetings so that we can continue to
Why not?
figure it out?
Sure.
Is that what we're?
Brainstorm, yeah, see how it works.
So I'd make a motion to just table it and continue discussion.
I second that.
Lynn,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Clark, Conrad,
Yes.
McLaughlin.
Yes.
Richter.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, this kind of goes along with it. The next item is discussion possible approval of proceeding with investigation of a possible recreation center. Gary and Connie.
I think you want to.
Sure, you can go ahead. I was gonna do it as a grant update under Park and Rec, but you can go ahead with that. So that's fine.
So it's similar to, but separate from what we just discussed in the sense that the council has been talking about investigating a recreational center for the community for a while. It's come up a couple of times. Since I'm involved with KCED, I'm obviously aware of a parallel discussion that was taking place there. And so it became rather obvious that there was something to be gained by combining those two and working together. So we explored that a bit, and Connie put us in touch with a representative from IEDA through her contacts in the foundation, yes?
Yes.
Who made us aware of what they call a BOOST grant. A BOOST grant is a pilot program within IEDA, and it's designed specifically to assist communities of our size or smaller, or according to what they said, organizationally challenged communities. We want to do projects like this, not necessarily community centers, but significant projects, and they may be having a bit of trouble getting them off the ground or figuring out how to carry them off. The recommendation was, without being critical of our ability to organize, the gentleman that we spoke to at IEDA felt that a boost grant could provide us, being a coalition of community leaders, with funding to do an exploratory exercise and assess the feasibility of a community center. In other words, develop a vision, discuss that vision with some experts, which would be provided by and funded by the IEDA. As a consultant and facilitator, yes. The whole idea being to do a feasibility assessment, and assuming that there's a positive outcome to that, then consider the next steps. But this would be step 0. This would be the investigation. We could draw plans. The boost grant is $10,000. It's a 2-to-1 matching grant, so the community, not necessarily just the city, but the community would need to come up with at least an additional $5,000. After we had the conversation that was organized by Connie, I went back to KCED, we talked about it. There was agreement that made perfect sense to move forward. And as follow-up to what our coach at IEDA said, one of the things we needed was a group of committed community leaders. If we wanted to apply for the boost grant successfully, we needed to form a committee of committed community leaders and make our case that we have the ability to carry a project like this on. Express our vision, and there are other items in the application, but it's not too daunting of a task. So at the moment, we have Connie as a representative of the foundation. Stephanie, who has had interest in this for some time, is representing the city. I'm representing KCED. We have Matt Ives from the Keokuk County Health Center. The Kiwanis is going to provide, as an active community group, they're going to provide a representative. Mike Betzmiller from the school board has agreed to participate. Deke Wood from the Board of Supervisors has agreed to participate. All these people are willing to be active in the formation of this exploratory committee up to the submission of the grant application and the work that would come from that in order to formulate the vision. So with this item, the question to this group, I believe, would be, is the council willing to actively participate in this, I'll call it, I don't think it's a consortium, but this leadership group to formulate it, to see if we can formulate a plan to build a community center.
I'd like to say too that the application is due by the end of August. So the timeline, the timeline is really short. So that's why, since the last council meeting, things kind of rapidly increased once we learned about this boost grant opportunity. So, and I think once I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
I think if we were selected as one, they only select 4. And it sounds like if we were selected, there's other opportunities for additional grants to follow from that. So this initial one would bring a team down, both virtually and on site, to guide us and lead us in the right direction.
I was just kind of following that from the people that were identified, the location would be Sigourney.
It would be more of a county-wide, we just don't have any representatives right now from another city.
Well, the answer to your question is, at the moment, that's kind of what we're thinking, but we are not locked into putting it in Sigourney. The notion that's been discussed, we've had one meeting, we held a kickoff meeting Tuesday of this week. And we discussed locations. The conclusion was we have no idea where to put it, bluntly stated. We thought about Legion Park, but as we discussed here, access is a problem with only one street. I asked Mike Hadley and Deke Wood about the old county yards, because that would kind of be nice. It's got plenty of access, it's on a busy street, it's got enough space, but the county has aspirations to do something else with that space at some point in the future, so that's been ruled out. We're kind of landlocked, so location is a problem. We don't know the answer, we're gonna have to figure that out. But we do, and this was very clearly stated in the kickoff, we don't want this to be a Sigourney thing. We'd like it to have as much influence at the county level as possible, or I should say beyond the bounds of Sigourney.
And in this application, you do not need the location, we don't have to be landlocked right now. So we don't have to have that discussion.
As a community center, I mean, I've seen community centers represent different things. What would be the primary use of it?
So it would be a place where you could house a variety of recreational activities. To be honest, the model that we discussed most extensively was the Williamsburg model, something along that line. Indoor gymnasiums, hopefully an elevated track, weight room, aerobics room. Williamsburg has space for kind of a drop-in daycare where parents could bring children. Obviously, since it's enclosed and heated, you can do things through the winter that we can't do now. Kevin Hatfield, unsolicited, said that in the future, the school district might be interested in some level of collaboration here, but he didn't make any commitments. And with Mike from the school board, we'll be in good communication there. There's a conference room / meeting room / gathering space in this vision. Facility have a kitchen, so it would be a multi-use facility and could accommodate various civic activities, athletic activities, health-related activities for the population, and so on.
Pitching, something like pitching.
Yeah, Williamsburg supports pickleball. They run pickleball courts. I know pickleball players go down to the elementary now, so they've been challenged to find a place. These are the kinds of things. This is all very, very new. Nothing is firm at this point in time.
Yeah, I just wonder about other communities involved, or if it was centrally located in a place like Sigourney, are other communities going to be interested in that?
It's an open question. When I talked to Melanie Vermillion, city clerk in Watch here, sometime back, one of the first things she said to me was that there's nothing for the kids in Watch here to do. Now, this raises the immediate spectrum of transportation. What's the answer to that? These are the questions this committee would have to answer. And we would either answer them in the affirmative or in the negative, but that's what the exploration would be about.
Well, another consideration would be employees also. If you're in a small town like Watch-Here, would they have enough people interested in working in a place like this?
Employees is a factor for sure.
It was just trying to get back, to exploration of this idea and growth of this idea. Yeah, I think we should. If you all of a sudden told me this was going to go out to Belvedere and be by the dog parks, and it wasn't gonna be in town, and no other city was gonna be kicking into it, then I might wonder if it was appropriate for us to really be a pusher of it, but, you know, this might be a possible location, and
It's fair. That's fair.
it seems, you know, we don't have enough of an idea to say no to it, or to, you know,
It's good. So,
So do we have a motion to?
I make a motion to approve proceeding with the investigation of possible recreation center.
Lynn?
Yes.
Schultz?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Conrad?
yes.
McLaughlin?
Yes.
Baker.
yes.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 5, discussion and possible approval of agreement with Drive Technologies. Angie, can you fill us in on this?
Probably not. This is just, we've already agreed to have Drive Technologies work up our new website. Yes, which was Humphrey who was here and spoke to the council. So this is just the agreement between the two of us and so on and so forth. So I couldn't answer questions about it. I sent the agreement to all of you to look through. I also, when Humphrey got this to me, I took it to John Weir and had him review it. And I also sent you the letter that he gave us. He had a few suggestions for it. So, other than that, I am not a computer technical person. Some of that made perfect sense. Some of it, I couldn't tell you what it meant.
So I read the contract. I think, consistent with what John said, I agree that it has most of the elements that it needs to have. I would suggest a word change in the document. And I would have to find the clause. I thought I had it highlighted here. Changing completion, under 2.2 invoicing. I would suggest that we change the word completion in the last sentence to the word acceptance. Because there's different in some subtle and some not so subtle ways. Other than that, it seems like the contract covers both our interests and Drive Technologies' interests. With respect to John's email, his main recommendation was that we amend it to have Drive Technologies log their time. And in the event that there is a dispute, that would be useful. So for completion, we ought to think about maybe wording that would give us protection and ensure that Drive Technologies was compensated appropriately if we had to separate. I don't think we are anticipating, I certainly am not anticipating that would happen, but contracts are put in place in the event that they do. So I would suggest that we adopt John's recommendation, which is highlighted in his email, and make that one change, wording change, in the contract. And then as far as I'm concerned, it would be sufficient.
Is that just this one, or was there any part of these items here that he talked about?
So A, I would ignore, just for BDD and TDD are business-driven design and test-driven design. That's not relevant to what we're doing in the way it's being discussed. Stories, that's being covered by the list that you and Ashley provided. They're not technically stories, but they're who has the authority to assign, to decide when a story is complete. That to me is acceptance. That's why I think we should change that to acceptance. Who owns the content? If we terminate the agreement, we need to make sure that it's us. I thought about that for a while. There's nothing in the contract that addresses that. I guess I don't feel strongly one way or the other about putting that in. I don't know if anyone else does.
Well, if we, you mentioned own the content, you know, and E becomes a factor, we still own the content.
Still in the contract.
And that would take care of itself, I would think.
That is fair, yes, that is fair.
Okay.
So, hopefully that's a long-winded answer to your question, but I think,
Well, no, it's a good summary. Better than I could. Are you making some kind of recommendation?
yes, I would move that we accept John's recommendation to add a clause that requires the developer to keep a log of time spent, allowing for a discussion on the granularity of the time. Could be a little bit burdensome. And then we make a change in the contract from Drive Technologies, change completion to acceptance.
In 2-2.
Yeah, 2-2, yes.
That's the only spot.
Yes.
Okay. So what about this A, B, C, D, and E? You said no to A.
No to A, B is addressed, C is addressed with the change to the contract. D is not addressed, actually, thank you for asking, D is not in the contract.
So we need to put it.
We should put that in the contract. So my apologies, I didn't cover that.
And E.
E, as Randy said, that will take care of itself through D.
All right, so really, D is the only thing off that we need to put in the contract.
D is the only thing we need to add, yes.
Well, you said the C, right? About-
That's if we change.
But it's already,
If we change completion to acceptance, yeah. Okay. Okay, fair enough.
So you got that motion elsewhere?
That's the world's longest motion.
But it'll be fine.
I'll make a very short second.
Thank you. Lenz,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Conrad.
Yes.
McLaughlin.
Yes.
Ostrander.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, discussion and possible approval of proposal for redesigning the City of Sigourney logo.
So this came up because when Humphrey attempted to harvest the existing logo from the website, it could not be done in such a way that it appeared, it looked bad. Let's just say that, it looked bad. It didn't have adequate resolution, and we didn't have access to the original. So in order to proceed with the website and be able to brand it appropriately, we discussed asking Humphrey to propose a new logo that could be used for the website. And we expressly said, don't be elaborate. KCED spent quite a bit of money on its new logo, and I think we got what we paid for. But at this particular juncture, it doesn't make a lot of sense to spend a lot of money on branding logo to get the website up. We might want to think about that later, but we don't need to think about it today. So that generated this proposal and the associated cost, which is $500 one time.
He's also gonna supply it in case we wanna make stationery and other things.
I think that's correct, yes.
So when you refer to the logo, are you only talking about the fountain in the circle? I mean, is that Sigourney? I'm not sure. So like this is the logo and it would, and what is the image of?
The medallion is the logo.
Yeah, just the medallion, you're talking about, okay.
Depending on what page of the website, or if you're viewing it on a mobile or you're viewing it on a computer, one's gonna have that top one might have the beginner one, it might just be the one in the corner.
Okay.
I just wanted to simplify it and make it readable file.
But that can be used in different formats, I think, where,
Right now, I think it was kind of a screenshot that you had to do, and it didn't work.
Is $500, is that, I don't know what that's next year.
It's certainly less than KCED spent for its logo by a considerable margin.
Sound
Yeah.
that bad to me.
Do we want to put in there when Sigourney was established?
That's not on the old logo.
Well, just because
I'm,
it looks very, very plain.
It wouldn't be that difficult to do, I don't think. It's actually a good idea, it didn't occur to me.
EST period, what year was it?
1844.
44.
So is that what the council would prefer to add established 1844?
So just under the word Sigourney and medallion,
Hmm.
just underneath the
Yes.
Sigourney and the medallion, or just EST 1844. Go for that.
does that spice it up for you, Adam?
Let me just look.
Send it for you,
At some
Adam.
point-
But I think that if we
Keep it level with
did
us.
just the medallion, then we can import that into, like you were saying, different spots,
Yeah.
right?
And we also, we're on this project of doing the website right now, and if in a year, we're like, we wanna redo the whole logo, they spent $3,000-ish, give or take 1,000,
No, it was.
2,000?
About 2,000.
okay, to redo their logo, and I think they voted on this, 10+ years ago, so we didn't wanna be like, hey, we're gonna redo that without anyone else's consideration. So this was kind of the middleman, get the
It was a
website
lot.
done, and
It was a lot of money, but I was really pleased with what we got, and we can use it. We've got the full color palettes and everything for Photoshop, and just a whole huge file of things, but we don't need that here. So I would make a motion that we approve of the agreement for Drive Technologies to create a logo for $500 with the addition of established in 1844 to add to the medallion.
Second.
Lentz,
yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Conrad,
Yes.
Laughlin,
Yes,
Ostraker.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's a good thing you're feeling good today, Gary. Discussion possible approval of switching to Sigourney.com domain. Gary, would you like to?
Okay, so this is pretty straightforward. Currently, KCED, through Drive Technologies, owns Sigourney.com. Our website, as you know, is Sigourney-Iowa.com. Not quite as intuitive. KCED is willing to release Sigourney.com to the city of Sigourney, so that when the new city website comes up, it can come up under Sigourney.com as the domain, if you want to do that.
Oh, we have to apply that domain?
Now, you'll have to maintain it, but we're not gonna charge you for it.
Might have to buy it for $1 though, to make it legal.
Well, I didn't know there was some kind of, who has the domain?
There are fees,
Where is the domain at?
Drive Technologies registered on our
With,
behalf.
like, who are they, I mean,
where is it housed? In the cloud?
On the internet?
It's housed on his,
The what?
it's housed on Humphrey's
Okay.
well,
Okay.
they are,
There's
who
a,
hosts the domain? I guess, I don't know if I have the right term.
yeah, Humphrey is the host, but the domain is registered with the International DNS
Okay.
Service.
So it'd just be a matter of what's you're saying, and the bottom line is, we could just assume this Saturday.com.
And you'll pick up any fees that go along with maintaining, what you're doing today for city-iowa.com.
Exactly.
So it kind of nets out to zero for the city.
It's a lot simpler.
Exactly.
So do we have a lot of paperwork to go
Since it's a
through
unique
to
name,
eliminate
you know,
Sigourney
There's no
hyphen?
other Saturdays.
I think we'll just let that ride out with GoDaddy, and then we won't renew, and then Humphrey will take care of us.
So a lot of emails or anything like that, are they out there with that domain?
Not emails, because we use SigourneyCouncil.com through,
Okay.
um,
But nothing else that we
Access.
correspond with?
no, that's just what we tell people. Our website is Sigourney-Iowa.com, but now we can say Sigourney.com if that's what you choose. And that's how the new website will. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to switch to Saturday.com today.
Second.
Lentz,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Conrad,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Osbaker.
Yes.
Thank you.
Discussion of possible approval of adding a Cox sanitation flyer to the August utility bill.
Cox Sanitation contacted me and wanted to know if we would mail this out. So I explained that the council had to approve, and that if we made the copies and we paid to have it folded, those costs would have to be reimbursed. Or they could make all the copies, bring it folded in thirds, and then we would stuff it in our bills. So anyway, I'm just getting your approval. If you're okay with this, she plans to bring in the copies folded and ready to go.
Why does it just say to Sigourney residents? Doesn't it apply to all county residents?
I don't know.
It seems like we ought to address all the users of
Or
the
this-
Yeah, but we're only sending to city.
Right,
Okay, then it
Yeah.
becomes our document.
so,
We send it in our mailing, and it's to, let's see, from the city to the residents. I mean, this is our document, so we have to.
So if we just took off the top line?
Maybe it's just the
I
same.
just didn't want anybody thinking that we have restrictions that others don't. But I don't care, forget it, it's fine.
What other
Do we do this
people-
for, do we do this for private businesses any other time? Because this
the
isn't
last
like a-
time we did it was for the King County Management. Jory Altenhoven had asked us to put
But that's not an independent company.
No, but I can't remember another time we've done that, because most people don't want to pay that.
But I know it's not costing us anything, but the point is, it seems like
Costing
it
us postage.
becomes our
If
document.
it's a postage, we'd already put it out there, so it don't cost us any additional postage.
But are we opening a gate to any other business that wants to get information out to the city for free?
Well, it's costing them to make copies and do their own folding unless they want to pay us, but.
But they're saving in postage.
But this is why I'm saying it has to go through.
What happens with
City
people that
council.
don't get mail? Don't get that as,
We talked about that. We were gonna check into those that get their bill email, if we could email this as well. I was kind of understanding when we signed on to that, yes, it could be done. We just haven't tried it yet. So,
How is it signed? And it's from
it's
representatives,
not really.
Cox.
so it makes it look like it's from the city of Sigourney.
This is their responsibility.
Well, that's what this is, county residents. It's the same for everybody.
It's a pretty blunt communication.
you've been there?
From Sigourney to its residents.
Oh, no, it's consistent with my experience, yes.
No truckloads of cardboard, what are you for then? Sorry. Adam, you wanna decline then, make a motion?
Everybody knows I don't like the recycling center anyway. So, anyway. I don't like the
Am
cost.
I the only one
I don't
that
like
feels
the
that we're
cost.
opening a door to,
I mean, it's a service that we're providing to them that they're paying for, but apparently Cox has encountered these problems.
It's my
And they
understanding.
want to straighten it out. So we send it to
Randy's not
everybody.
into development.
So we send it to everybody, and then I just pick it on people.
That's my understanding, yes.
but is that the city's responsibility? Or is that Cox's responsibility to do that?
Well, the more difficult we make it to them, the more difficult they make it to supervisors, and we're gonna end up paying for it or whatever. So to me, this is, they wanna do it, we're cooperating, at hopefully no cost to us. And then
Can we have them just?
and
put
some
the
people may
sign
not,
that
I'm not
responsible?
sure that everybody realizes what they can or can't do out there, so this is just a reminder. I mean, I probably, since it's going to our residents, I would probably take off the first line.
Got the all Sigourney residents.
I mean, if they've got them all printed out,
I don't know if
it's
they're
too
printed
late.
yet or not.
If they don't, I would take off the first line.
Okay, I will if they don't, I'll
Just,
ask.
it's going out to whoever gets our water bills, so.
Right, okay.
Have them sign them up.
I can live with
Yeah,
that.
they-
I just felt like we started
I'll
in
ask
Sigourney
them if they want
residents.
printed to put on the bottom.
Well, we are, because we're sending it to,
Yeah, but we're not sending it. That's.
well, no, but I mean, our billing goes out to those people, outside, but I'm sure they would send it to everybody in the county if they had a way to send it to everybody in the county for free. Well, except, sorry, not for free, they're
It
printing
costs
out the
them.
paperwork, they don't have to do anything for it, so.
As long as they sign it with their name, and so people don't get confused that it's not come from the city.
They haven't signed it.
They have not.
No, so if they're not already printed, I will just ask them to take the top line off and
What if it's
add
already printed?
Cox sanitation block.
Then they need to go back and sign them.
Well, maybe
Maybe
they have a stamp that says Cox
So,
sanitation.
I just think the bottom line, that's why I was laughing.
I know.
So the rest of the citizens of Keokuk County are not being informed of this.
And I don't know that they're not.
Interesting.
Maybe they'll hand out flyers at the center down there.
think
I just don't want to create any issues with that. I mean, we've had enough recycling issues. I don't think Donnie wants to take it back. I would want to make it as
We're not gonna
painless
take it
for
back.
people that use it as possible.
I know, I got your back on this, Don. We're not taking that back.
So I'll make a motion to approve adding the Cox sanitation flyer to the August 3rd bill, with the changes of taking all Sigourney residents off and having Cox sanitation identified on the letter.
So, maybe put a phone number on there to Cox if they have questions, or you're gonna be getting called. What do you think?
A phone number is.
A phone number to Cox and,
Okay.
They'll still call AG. I mean, actually.
Yeah,
Motion so count.
Are you adding that to the?
Yes,
motion?
I'll add the phone number.
Okay, so if they're already printed, still want them to do this?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. Did anybody second?
Yes.
Well, that makes it kind of a
Yeah,
non-motion
sorry.
almost, doesn't it? If they're already printed, it's a non.
Well,
Depends on-
that doesn't mean we have to put them in there. I told her it had to go through the council.
Okay,
First.
okay, good.
Yeah, so I got the email.
They're
and all
on
that.
notice that has to be done.
Yep, so, okay, so got a second, Lentz,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Conrad,
Yes.
McLaughlin.
Yes.
Baker.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next, discussion and possible approval of having mayor and city council pictures taken for the website.
And the clerk.
What? And the clerk, the new clerk, yes.
And the new clerk,
They'll
yeah.
just do it together as Angela. That's who I'm gonna start asking for in the morning.
Okay,
We want to do department heads as well.
that's up to you guys.
I left the room, so we can say yes.
Oh, so I will, I talked to Sam Linder, she will do this, the shots that we need for $10 per person. I asked her if she could do it at the next council meeting, the 21st, like between 5 and 6. I haven't nailed down an exact time, but she's available then, if everybody would be willing to come and get their picture taken.
Wax your mustache.
I thought that was a good idea on the supervisors too.
On the super, oh, the
Putting pictures of
department heads.
supervisors, department heads.
That's up to the council, so yes.
City employees, just, that covers everybody, that covers everybody from the mayor down to Teresa.
Oh, you want Teresa in there too, okay.
I feel like we should draw the line at the elected people, because otherwise you are gonna get into the point of
All right.
I kind of.
everybody.
I like the idea of department heads though.
Let's just start with this part of the room.
Okay,
And we'll go from
I'm
there.
okay with the council.
in there, okay. Okay,
Do we have that motion yet?
So I move that we approve having the mayor and council pictures taken for the website on the 21st, between 5 and 6 if possible.
I think I'm coming down with something. Second.
Lentz,
Yes,
Schultz,
What happens if I disagree?
you're gonna be out.
Yes.
You can vote, yes.
Clark,
You can vote.
Yes.
Conrad,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Osbaker.
Yes.
You
Thank
can
you.
vote no, but it doesn't count.
It doesn't really matter,
Because you're
does it?
outvoted.
That's the way it is most of the time.
Okay, Keokuk County Economic Development Report.
Gary,
Gary,
need some
you're up
water?
again.
Again,
Yeah.
Do you want some water?
no thanks. Actually, I'm going to spare you all because anything that I would report, we've already discussed at one point or another today. So I think it would be redundant.
Okay. Well, next, Park and Rec. We've eliminated item number 1, so we'll go to item number 2, and that's the grant update.
Well, there's a, we eliminate that as well.
We handled that as well, okay. Street sanitation, setting a street and sanitation committee meeting.
The elusive street sanitation committee. Angie, are there some parameters?
I'm
for
not
this?
available October 21st.
Well, the way
October
this is going,
21st?
it may get that point.
I'm not available December 25th.
Sarah's like this?
How soon do we want to?
Yesterday.
As soon as possible?
3 weeks ago.
I mean, I don't know availability. You know, I threw out when this one was, and it did work time-wise. Next week is the state fair. I don't know if that will be an issue or not.
Well, maybe we could try to do it again then in the following week.
Okay, so like the 19th, 20th?
Sure.
Let me see what time I have, if I know the 20th. I'd be okay either day,
Is that a Monday or Tuesday? What day? is it?
Monday and Tuesday, 19th or 20th. So whatever your pleasure is.
Tuesday.
Tuesday?
I'll forget Monday.
Okay, Tuesday.
I mean, we're talking 6 o'clock, are we?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
We have
that's
a
fine
meeting
with me.
at 5, so we have a meeting at 5 on Tuesday.
We have to have
The
willing,
steering committee, so.
On the 20th?
Yeah,
On the
okay,
20th, yeah, so 5 to 6.
Okay.
So that would be.
If it goes long, we'll just wait.
What's the meeting?
Randy's nothing if not fishy.
It's
The
the steering
community
committee.
center, steering committee.
Oh.
we have to have
So Tuesday at 6.
participation from community members on this as well, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I'll find out tomorrow.
Okay.
Maybe Friday. I have a busy day tomorrow.
Okay, water and wastewater, I have nothing, I'm sorry. You want to add something else? Okay. Public safety, discussion possible approval of advertising expenses for police positions.
We want to, the Public Safety Committee talked about going to the city to request funding for advertising, to advertise for police chief and police officer positions. Years past, we've allotted or budgeted $5,000 for that, so that's what we will be requesting again. Just to continue to put ads out. Questions?
Is the 5, they'll all be spent at one time, or are you just asking to?
Well, we're asking for to spend up to $5,000 right now, and then if council approves it, then the Public Safety Committee will meet and figure out what outlets we want to publish in to get it out.
I make a motion we approve public safety expending up to $5,000 to advertise for positions of police chief and police officer.
Second.
Lentz. Schultz.
No.
Clark.
Yes.
Conrad.
Yes.
McLaughlin.
Yes.
Oatsbaker.
Yes.
Discussion of possible approval of police chief display ad.
So as everybody's aware, our police chief resigned, so we are wanting to put an ad out again, trying to stay proactive and trying to fill the position of police chief. The only thing I would add in that ad, that's the ad right there, the only thing I would add in the ad is that we put somewhere in there that we will continue to take apps until the position's filled.
We've got that. Application and resumes will be accepted
Okay.
until the position is
I
filled.
did not see that.
No cover letter.
No cover letter.
The 75 is highlighted, and it seems to me that when we approve the range, 75 is above the range we just approved.
Did we approve one for the police department, though? I thought we left
Yeah, I thought you said that
that
we
one
were
out.
leaving that because
Because we did.
I mean-
Yeah.
I guess we'd have to look. I'm sorry, I just remember when we got to that point, the only part I remember is $30-some an hour times 40 times whatever was only gonna be like 72.
Right.
So I mean, the only numbers I know we talked about were that. So if we didn't do something before, I don't care, but if we've already got something that we approved, I don't wanna go over what we already approved.
I think we did not do anything with that, and we said we would readdress it down the road when the time came. I think we left the police alone. We did not include them in the wage cap thing, because we didn't know what to
Okay.
do. And that's highlighted because it used to be 65 to 70, and so council needs to approve if we do move it up to 75. And if you'd rather me check on that first, I certainly can.
I just don't wanna have two different.
Right, no, I get that, that's hard to explain.
We didn't have anything on the police department under the line when
Yeah,
we voted on it. There's like not even a
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
fake number or anything.
great.
Nothing.
I thought we had left it out on purpose, so, okay.
So I'll make a motion that we approve.
Before you do, first sentence, a progressive community of 2004. The English professor in me doesn't read correct. Population 2004.
Yes, the population is too much.
I know what it means, but I don't know
Okay.
if we ought to say that.
Sure, so you'd rather say City of Sigourney Progressive.
Citizens,
Thank you.
2004 citizens
Rural
of
and
Southeast
Southeast
Iowa.
Iowa. Okay. Okay.
Thank you. That's good.
So I'll make a motion we approve the police chief ad with the addition of population.
Citizens.
Citizens, sorry, citizen.
Second.
Betts.
Yeah.
Schultz.
No.
Clark.
Yes.
Conrad.
Yes.
McLaughlin.
Yes.
Oatsbaker.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, discussion of possible approval of police officer display ad.
Again, we're just wanting to put an ad out there to try to attract applicants for our police department as a police officer.
The email addresses are different. We have sigpoliceadmin@iowatelecom.net and sigourneypolice@iowatelecom.net.
I'll look them up and make sure we get the right one in there.
Okay.
Actually, I'm probably just gonna change both of them to ashley@sigourneycouncil.com.
So we would add citizens to this one.
So yes, so I would make a motion that we approve the police officer ad with the addition to citizens and with the changing of the email.
Second.
Lentz,
Yes.
Schultz,
No. Yes.
Walker, Conrad,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Buxbaker.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's fine.
Finance, set a finance committee meeting.
Tomorrow, 5:30.
What?
I think there's.
I'm just trying to throw
there's
something out there.
time.
When did you say stop?
I said tomorrow at 5:30.
We can't, we already have a 5 o'clock meeting.
No, I have a meeting too.
We do at 5 o'clock.
Oh, yeah, it's with you.
Yeah.
You want to do back to back?
I've had so many meetings this week, sure.
So 6 or 5:30, I don't know.
How long is that gonna take? I'd say 6.
6.
Gary gets worried.
Okay.
I have missed you.
I know.
So Thursday, August 8th at 6 PM.
This is the fastest meeting planning ever.
Why didn't I come last week? That was really short.
But it was great. It was fantastic. That's why it was short.
So you're serious, tomorrow at
At 6.
We have a 5 o'clock, and you can't do 6.
6:30? Monday?
We can do a different day. Are you
Yeah.
sleeping?
No, I'm awake,
Sleeping.
I'm
This is
panicking.
like 5 minutes of
I'm
sleep.
panicking, I'm trying to figure out, there's something I have to do tomorrow night. So let's go for Monday, can we go for Monday?
Okay.
Is that-
Ed will forget.
But that's okay, you guys can go on without me.
Not for
I
finance.
don't think we can.
Monday at 6.
Monday at 6.
Angie has to call.
Angeli will remind me.
And
We
No,
will.
I won't, I'll be gone.
The and
Ashley?
will.
Do you want it to be Ashley instead of Angeli?
No.
I like that better. Ashley.
Okay.
What
This
time?
meeting's
What are
gone
we
on too long.
Monday at
It's
6.
goofy.
At 6. Monday at
Yeah.
6.
Monday at
So,
6.
Monday the 12th at 6. I'll send that out and I will call in Monday.
Call Denise too.
Well, actually, if I just send
She'll
the
probably
email
be
to
gone.
Denise, I won't have to worry about it.
She is gone, she's back up at the fair. She's gone tomorrow night, she's gone Friday night.
Her SOL.
Yeah.
Okay. This has gone on long enough. Human resources, I have nothing shown there. City clerk, discussion possible approval of hiring a deputy city clerk.
Well, I guess we interviewed 3, and we made a decision to, we had a first choice and a second choice and a third choice, and we left it up to, Ashley to, and Angie to call and offer our first choice, the position, at $22. And I don't know whether or not she has accepted. I have not heard that.
I apologize.
So, yeah.
Yes, she did.
Okay,
Yes, Katie Conrad.
okay, so Katie Conrad did accept the position, and so, when was she going to start, did she say?
I
Did she
will
give
call
us
her
a-
in the morning
Okay,
and find out all the details of when she's going to start.
okay.
If we approve her.
If she, yes.
So the recommendation from the committee was that we offer it to her, at that salary, and, she has accepted. so-
And it'd be a 60-day probation and then it'd go to $22.50?
Yes,
Okay.
that's what historically we have done, so
Okay.
we said the same thing. to interview her
That'd be
and
awkward
then
if we didn't
make the
approve it.
recommendation to the council, so I guess the recommendation would be that we,
Really
hire
awkward.
Peyton Conrad
Sorry for me.
at $22 with a 50-cent increase after the 60-day probationary period.
That sounds like a motion.
That was.
Lance,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Conrad.
Just to avoid any issues, abstain, which is that same last name.
Okay.
We asked her if she was related.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Oatringer.
Yes.
Thank you very, very much.
Actually told me it's Jim
Okay.
Star. Chief of English.
I have a note here for HR committee meeting. We need to set that,
The same great grandfather.
HR committee.
I don't think so.
That must have been for the deputy city clerk.
Oh, so before, yes.
Yeah. Okay, public input. The one public we have left. Any input from the council?
Too long.
Thank you. Well, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? then?
So moved.
Second. Second.
Third.
Lance,
Yes.
Schultz,
Next time. I'm-
Say yes.
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Conrad,
Yes.
McLaughlin.